Welcome back to another one of our game recaps, everybody. These will be for the games of November 26th. First game was the Steelers and the Bengals. The Steelers took this one 16-10, and this offense looked way better without Matt Canada. Kenny Pickett was 24-33, 278 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. He also had 5 carries for 5 yards. Don't go adding Kenny Pickett just yet, but this is absolutely a good sign. You make a big change like this, and he responds with a huge amount of yards compared to what he normally does, and a really good completion percentage. Keep an eye on this. Just don't take any action just yet. Najee Harris, 15 carries, 99 yards, and a touchdown. Just a spectacular day for him. He didn't have any receiving work in this one, but still, that is phenomenal work on the ground. That rushing touchdown, almost 100 yards rushing, and he had 2 more carries than Jaylen Warren. Just a phenomenal day for him. Just keep playing him as you normally would. Not really like a priority guy, but especially without the passing game work, but this is just phenomenal stuff. Jaylen Warren, a little disappointing here. 13 carries, 49 yards. He also had 3 catches for 13 yards. Good to see him get the passing game involvement. He's edged out Najee Harris by 1 touch. So he's still heavily involved. He's just going to need a big play, and the amount of receiving work he gets him a high floor. He gets enough rushing work to get him a high floor as well, but I just don't know if he's that, set it and forget it every week sort of play that he looked like he was last week, or really the last 3 weeks when he finished within the top 15 every single one of the last 3 weeks. So a little disappointing here, but better days should be ahead. Just kind of calibrate your expectations for Jaylen Warren based off of this. Pat Freiermuth, 9 catches, 120 yards on 11 targets. Just ridiculous stuff from him. I wouldn't expect this to be the norm. Obviously, even without Matt Canada, I don't think that their priority is going to be feeding Pat Freiermuth, especially when Diontae Johnson looked as lackadaisical as he did. 4 catches, 50 yards on 8 targets, leading all receivers in targets, but at the same time, what he's putting on film is not going to make the Steelers coaches happy. Look out for George Pickens. It could be a good buy low opportunity for him. 3 catches, 58 yards on 5 targets. Disappointing day for him in this one. He's looked like a drop here so far, but I don't think that their priority is going to be feeding Pat Freiermuth. I don't think that they're going to like what they saw from Diontae Johnson on film in this one. So look for George Pickens to bounce back in this next game. I think an interesting buy low opportunity because you can get him for basically a drop at this point. Because most people who have George Pickens on their team are definitely fed up with him. Allen Robinson had a catch for 11 yards on 1 target. Connor Heyward still being somewhat involved with Pat Freiermuth back is interesting, but 2 catches, 11 yards on 2 targets for him. Darnell Washington had a catch for 10 yards on a target. Interesting they're not using him more in the red zone. I think he'd be a really good weapon there. And Calvin Austin just had the 1 catch for 5 yards. For the Bengals, Jake Browning was 19-26, 227 yards, a touchdown and interception. He also had 3 carries for 9 yards. This, I think, is really promising because he only had 26 passes in this one. High completion percentage, completing 19 of them. 227 yards on 19 completions is not bad whatsoever. When T. Higgins comes back, Jake Browning can put together some stats here. He was really good at Washington. Keep an eye on him. I wouldn't go adding him just yet, but as far as a bye week fill-in, he's absolutely in the conversation because the Steelers are a pretty good defense. I mean, they got the pass rush. They've been playing really well here recently against quarterbacks. Not so much against receivers, but still, this isn't like a super cupcake matchup to where he could complete 19-26 and 227 yards and be like, oh, crap, he's terrible. No, that's really impressive against a team like this. And speaking of not impressive, Joe Mixon, I thought he would get more looks in this one with Jake Browning in the game, but that was not the case. 8 carries for 16 yards. He also had 2 catches for 44. Second leading receiver, but still not a great day from him. He's more of a matchup heavy. Chances are if you have Joe Mixon on your team, you drafted him pretty high, and you're not really contemplating putting him in every week. You're probably still starting him every week, but he's not quite at that set it and forget it level because he can get you performances like this. High floor, but his upside just isn't quite as high as a lot of these other backs. Jamar Chase, 4 catches, 81 yards. Good to see him continue to get involved with Jake Browning as the quarterback. 81 yards, and 12.1 fantasy points is totally fine. I know a lot of people were counting him out because of Jake Browning, so keep an eye on this. Browning could just feed Chase like crazy. Trent and Irwin just had the one catch for 25 yards. Tyler Boyd, 3 catches, 23 yards on 5 targets. I think he is a drop. Tanner Hudson, 4 catches for 18 yards on 5 targets. I wonder if he'll get more involved here. He's had a couple good games here. Keep an eye on him. Andre Ishavash had a catch for 16 yards on 2 targets. Drew Sample had a catch for 11 yards and a touchdown. Irv Smith, 2 catches for 8 yards. The tight ends were pretty heavily involved in this one with Hudson, Sample, and Irv Smith getting a good amount of catches as a group here. And Mitchell Wilcox just had the 1 catch for 1 yard.